So here we are. I think it's the 73rd or 74th episode, 74th episode. I can't even keep up of Wayne's World and Kelly. And as usual, Wayne is 30,000 square feet. Why do I keep saying that? 30,000. I need to get out of construction. He's 30,000 feet in the air, flying from somewhere to somewhere. And our more permanent guest host than normal, Nouchelle, is our wonderful guest host. And we have the world famous Tinkerbell on the show, and you're gonna learn all about Tinkerbell for the people that don't know her. But let me tell you, we were doing a little pre-chat before we started, and I was asking her about her LinkedIn account, and she says, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. My staff takes care of it." So how do you like that? I go, yeah, here's my staff right here.
Fabulous, Tinkerbell, fabulous girl. We want to be like you when we grow up.
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I am going to be lobbying for a bill in about a year and a half. So I had to start replacing myself in the office. And so I'm in the office only 3 days a week. And the rest of the time I'm going to meetings, and I'm flying out a lot. And now I'm going to start flying out to DC. So my world is changing. I'm 78 years old. I've done a lot in my life. And it's time for me to go and lobby for a bill that I've written already 6 years ago.
Wow.
Oh,
and what a beautiful woman at 78 years old. I mean, I'm telling you. You don't look.
She got people.
You don't look at you. Yes,
because
she's got people. So I'm going to have you talk about yourself, but let me do a little intro. So you have an organization called the Silent Victims of Crime, which is your passion for kids is absolutely incredible. And I loved you before I met you. And then when I met you as being your Santa Claus last year and this year, everybody loves you. I mean, you're what do you like? You're like 3 feet tall, of gorgeous
I'm
woman.
a little bit taller than that, but not much taller than that.
You're so tiny. You make me feel like a giant, but but what you do and your passion is absolutely, it's just, I wish there were more people like you. I've been involved with CASA over the years and a lot of other places, but the things that you do, but just take a few minutes and talk about your organization, how it started, and of course, tell us about your people.
It's really interesting to have met the two of you, because you've only been in my life for the last 3 years. And I know from the first minute that I met Nouchelle, I knew that we were going to be in each other's lives. And the minute I met you, oh my God, you are definitely in my life forever. The kids adore you. I think that I've been one of the luckiest people in the world, because I attract people that are caring and loving and want to make a difference in the world. And my world started very differently than most people. I'm a survivor of the Holocaust. I was born before the war was over in Poland, and I was born in a field. And then for 5 years of my life, I lived in a DP camp. I don't know if you're familiar with the term, a displaced people camp, which was an old prison with 200 people in bunks in one room. And I was one of the first children in that bunk, and my sister was born there. And so my first memory was at a year and a half old, sitting on a table and looking out at this one tiny little window with bars on it. That's the only window in the room. And these were all survivors from the war.
Wow.
So all the survivors, and I just, somebody, I don't know if you know Dave Lawrence. Dave Lawrence created the children's movement. He gave me a book that's called The Last Million. And the last million people that were survivors weren't all Jews. They were Jews, they were Blacks, and they were foreigners that didn't agree with Hitler's point of view, and they ended up being incarcerated and survived that last million and ended up in Germany.
Oh my God.
So all of us were probably in the P camps or some sort of a camp for the first few years, because we were barely surviving. And I think at age 5, when we moved to Argentina from Germany, I think my first wish then was that I was going to help other children.
Wow.
I mean, it was not a conscious decision at age 5, but certainly my entire life, I thought about, how do I help other children so they don't go to prison? So I was working at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York, and working with returning citizens coming into prison or extradited from other countries. And I said, where are your children? And they said, I don't know. And I started looking for children 37 years ago. So I started my first organization 27 years ago, and it was called Kids Count. And it went from Kids Count to another state and to another state, and we kept changing the name in each state. So we were in Illinois, South Carolina, and Florida. South Carolina is still a full-fledged program. Illinois, the program closed down about 5 years ago because the prison closed down. We were working at only one prison. We were there for 17 years, and the prison closed down. And that's the only reason we're not in Illinois anymore. So my life has been about, I don't know, I guess survival. My parents were the only survivors other than a brother and a sister, and they had 8 brothers, sisters on one side, 12 on the other. I never met my grandparents, never met uncles or aunts, other than one family that survived. And so I think my world probably is a little bit different than others. I'm one of the few survivors still of the war, because most of the survivors are children of survivors. And
Right.
so I was still born during the war, so I'm considered a survivor, even though I don't have numbers on my arm. I was born in 45 April, and the war was over in June or July of that year. And we didn't even know the war was over.
Wow.
So I attracted amazing people in my life, my entire life. And it just seemed to be an automatic road for me to end up working with children whose parents are in prison, because 70% of children of prisoners end up in prison.
Right. And your organization's amazing, and your story's amazing. And I knew very little of your story. So wow. This is not playing timing, but what's going on in Israel right now breaks my heart. I never thought I would live in a time. My parents fought in the war. My dad did. My mom worked for the United States Army as a civilian. And I know the stories, and I'm on my one side of my family we were Jewish descent. So I never in a million years thought anything like this would ever happen again. And for what's going on in Israel right now is just, it makes me infuriated. But to see that you grew up in that, and then you made such a dedication to kids, it's just incredible and very selfless. And you're one of the most selfless people I've ever met. You're taking victims and making them victors, and that's the same way as you are. You were a victim of something that was heinous in our world, and you are so amazing. I met your son, and he's what a great guy. And I met your 2 grandsons. That looked like they should be on the cover of GQ, and they had the sweetest girlfriends. And I'm like, wow, what to see such a beautiful, happy family, and to see how dedicated you all are, and not to mention all your incredible staff. And it was fun to recognize people this year from before, and they're just incredible. And so are the kids.
And so are the kids. It's amazing.
So tell about how victims of crimes or silent victims of crimes, how the program operates throughout the year, because I think it's very important for people to understand what you all do.
I think that early on, when I was working at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Eastern District of New York, I realized that these parents made a mistake. And in their mistake, they ended up in prison, and that their children were paying the price. And I realized the same thing had happened to me. My parents made the mistake of being born Jewish. And by the way, they lost their religion during the war. My parents went from being Jewish to agnostic to atheist. And after the war, they started believing in a God, but a universal God that we all believe in, and we call him different names. So I was so glad that I was raised without hatred, that I was raised with my mom and dad believing that people make mistakes, and that we have to be the next generation that fixes that. So I'm very privileged that I had that background. And that's why I met you guys. I met you both because you are all about making this a better, more loving world and more caring for humanity. And you know what? It's never going to stop people being hating others and people being hated. It's never going to stop. It's just the way the world is. And I think we've been put here so that some of us can actually make a difference and cure that, and not believe that hatred is the only way to solve all of our issues. So when we think about our children, they come from sometimes households that are filled with hatred, either because the parent was killed or the parent was arrested or the parents aren't around. So our children are from the worst imaginable circumstances, because not only are they poor and they live in very, very scary neighborhoods because they can't be safe walking outside. Our biggest competition, Kelly and Nouchelle, are the drug dealers around the corner and the gangs. So if that's our competition, we have to be better. We have to be more caring. We have to be more loving. We have to show them more than what they can achieve on that side. So by showing them more, we created a program that twice a month allows the children to be exposed to what very rich kids are exposed to. Like, we pick them up in limousines. We take them to the Florida Grand Opera. We take them kayaking. We take them to not only visit museums and watch what happens with animals and with people in general, but also participate. We don't do anything that makes them spectators. Everything we do is interactive. So the kids learn not to go to the Paris Museum, but they learn to stand in front of a painting and sketch, and then sit down and do their own paintings. So we're all a lot about art, and we have amazing partners. We're a lot about music. We're a lot about joy. We're all about giving. So the children are very thoughtful and kind. So even though the first year they might come from very broken homes, many of them are not being raised by a family member, and they end up being very loving children. We look at our 17 and 18-year-olds, and all they want to do is hug us and tell us the wonderful things that are happening in their lives. 48 of our children are already in college, and that's because we started 27 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
So our world is all about creating magic in their life, and they don't know that they're learning. They don't know that every one of these activities is a learning activity. Like, we go to beaches, right, and look at animals, but we're cleaning the beaches. We're not looking at things, we're doing. We're involved with everything that has to do with creating a better world, a cleaner world, a more loving world. And the kids feel that, and you feel it, and they feel it from you.
Right. Yeah, the
So they
rewards
might
are
go
incredible.
home. Yeah, yes, that's why they get to meet people like you. You saw all the people there are there from love. We have 19 staff people, only 9 get paid.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and everybody's just it's
Engaged.
just incredible group of people that are giving of their time, and it's
I
it's
don't
got to be
think that
challenging.
yeah.
Well, it may be challenging, but as soon as Nouchelle called me today and she said, Tank, we're supposed to be on a podcast. I said, I'm on vacation. I don't know anything about a podcast. I don't know anything about social media, by the way, guys. When you want to know anything about our social media, Hasso is the only one that knows, because she's in charge of it. And you met her several times, right, Nouchelle?
Yes.
And you met Wes. You can see that the angels around us are real angels. They're not just there for the day.
Right.
You know what's so prolific? I want to say this, and we joked and we messed with you about, having your staff, but if you had to deal with all the mundane things, you could not be the voice for the children, right? You do this precious work. And so, yes, we joke and we bother you about it, but we realize that it's costly, and now we know why it's so personable, so we commend you. Your story is going to continue to unfold. I think that Kelly and Wayne, you are geniuses for having Tinkerbell start off the 2024 year, right? Because everybody's been talking about, let's do more in 2024. Well, how much more can you do than what's already being done? And
let's talk about how much of a genius I am. Here, I know this woman, and I'm looking to put wonderful guests on. And then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had Tinkerbell on. What is wrong with me? I'm a real genius.
you started it off right.
But I started
you
it
know,
off, but we should have had her on a while ago, but I'm so grateful, and timing's everything. So I'm like, hey, she's on vacation. She just got off a boat. It's perfect time to have her.
well, can I say something that happened just last night?
Yes.
So I learned after nearly 60 years that my father, my biological father, I never knew why he wasn't in my life. Like I just had my own idea, and I blamed him for a lot of things. Growing up without him, it's like you become the subject. People are teasing you at school, or she don't have a dad, whatever. Do you know yesterday was the first time he said, Shelly, do you know why I start texting you days before your birthday? And I said, no, I really don't. He goes, I will never forget that I couldn't see my first child being born because I was shipped off to Vietnam to fight in the war.
Oh,
I only learned this yesterday.
Wow.
See,
So-
we
Now, see-
don't know the angels that are around us. Here's your dad feeling so sad all these years that he wasn't there.
So maybe
But
this
when
will
I-
make you
when
feel
I
better,
heard
Shelley.
you, yeah. No,
My
no, but-
father retired when I was in elementary school, and that guy was around all the time. I couldn't get away with anything. So trust me, it's always
So
better on the other
Tinkerbell,
side
I
of the
guess he's
street.
saying we're better off.
You know. It's like, come on, dude, go get another job. Yeah, so
No,
that's
but
how
it,
people are. My father was in World War II, and your father was in Vietnam. That's 2 wars later. So
and Tinkerbell was
That's how old
born
I
in
am.
a whole chaotic war. We are warriors.
Yes, we are warriors. But you know what's amazing about all this is the three of us are now here together. And it might not have happened if that war hadn't existed. In other words, wars in our insides are no different than our wars on the outside. We have to work on the inside first. We have to
Right.
clean up our own wars first before we can understand why other people create wars and kill people. And we're never going to understand that, right? The prisons are filled with people who may or may not have committed crimes or may not deserve to be in there that long. It breaks my heart when I go to court and I meet these people that come out of prison. We call them returning citizens, and have spent, you met a young man at the last event, a very, very small young man who was in prison for 27 years. He just got out a month and a half ago,
Wow.
and you saw him there with his family.
And it's
So did he deserve to be in prison 27 years? That is a war within a war. We need to make sure that when we send people to what we call a prison, that they're there so they can be rehabilitated, not so that they can come out angrier and sadder. We need to make a difference in our lives. We need to make a difference in the United States. We need to allow all these foreigners that are trying to save themselves, we need to allow them to have the experience that we have had. Thank goodness, Kelly, maybe your dad, was around too much, and Nouchelle, your dad wasn't around enough. And my dad was in my life every day of my life. And yet he suffered so much, and I didn't know anything about it until I was 12.
right.
Their whole family was killed. Their entire family, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, their brothers, their sisters. And it's happening all over again in Hamas, as you said.
Right.
But the wars will not stop because they're not just going on in Hamas. The Russians are attacking. Africa is constantly at war. We are constantly at war, either inside or the outside. So it's the three of us are what makes the difference. We need to be the ones that make the difference. Otherwise, we're just like them.
Yeah.
Right. No, and
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't know how people can hurt anybody. Although I do enjoy it when the Miami Dolphins are hurting other people. We were talking about hate. I hate anybody who's playing my Dolphins. So,
That's not the Jets. They can't hurt the Jets or the
the
Giants.
Jets hurt themselves.
So here we are in a boat yesterday, right? And my husband's complaining that he can't watch the ball game. And I said, oh my God, we need to know that no matter how much we have, that there is more and that a lot of it is to give away. And the
Yes.
two of you are amazing examples of why I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah.
doing this so that I can be with people like you and not like people like Hamas.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
So-
yesterday Kelly and I was on a conversation and he was talking about redemption, right? And what it
Yeah.
takes to help someone become redeemed, and how you have to consistently and constantly pour into, like, people see us, they see us on the front line, they have no idea of the conversations that go on behind, but they see this beautiful, gentle giant who plays superhero and Santa talking about, now, how do we help redeem those who have been in falling situations, no matter what it is? We have to restore them. So this is like right in line with what I think 2024 has in store for us all, to be more cognizant, to be more caring, to be more loving, to be more available. Like they talk about the word present. Tinkerbell, you are a very present person. You are on the front line with a beautiful staff, volunteers that, you know, make it happen. But if you were not present, they wouldn't know how to be either. So thank you for that.
Well,
She's
let's
a
all
big
also
leader in a
remember,
tiny body.
but remember one thing, both of you, is that I've been around for 27 years. The first 15, I did it all myself. The
No
first
doubt.
15, I picked up all the children. I'm the one that picked up all the events and activities. I'm the one that went to the prisons. So on my board, I mean, it's a very opportune time to announce it. My board has decided to change the name of Silent Victims, because our children are no longer victims, and change the name to Tinkerbell's Kids.
I love it.
Uh,
I love it.
Beautiful.
I hate the word victim, and I started out by
Yeah,
saying
right,
victor.
right.
And these kids are becoming victors.
Congratulations.
Oh
But
my God.
that's what a wow. That's so neat. Tinkerbell, and they are
Well-
Tinkerbell's kids. Yeah,
Well,
they-
they're the ones that,
Yes.
you know, I would love for you guys one day to meet some of the children in South Carolina. The children in South Carolina have been around since they're 5, and most of them now are in their late 20s and early 30s. And I still go out to South Carolina several times a year, and we have events and activities. We have a full program in South Carolina. And so the 23rd of this month, I go to South Carolina until the beginning of February. And we are on the 3rd generation of no prison. So those kids were
Wow.
never called silent victims of crime, only the first year or the second year. After that, nobody went to prison.
wow, that's
Sounds like a
huge.
job for Superman. Sounds like a job for
Unbelievable, right?
Superman.
I would love to
Guys,
see it.
we-
I'm no stranger to South Carolina, but
Oh, wow.
just to
Do you have
see these kids, how you remold them, and and that is redemption. They have to redeem their family history, and their parents, when they're coming out of prison, have to redeem their life and forgive themselves of what they did and to make their life better.
right?
So many
I'm
people.
so glad. Yeah, I'm so
People
glad you
don't
said that.
forgive themselves. They I know people that have alcohol issues, and people call it a disease. And here's something controversial. I don't think it's a disease, it's a choice. And I think we baby them by saying it's a disease. To just stop it. It's ruining your life. People have to make massive changes in their life. If you don't want to go back to jail, don't put yourself in that position. Don't, life is tough enough. Why make it harder? And so
Yeah.
people need to forgive themselves and know that we're living in a country where, anything is possible. I mean,
Yes.
anybody can be successful. They're not being held back from anything but themselves. And if they
Wow.
and they have to choose, do they want to be a victim or a victor? And it
This
should
is-
be a great
That's
year.
good.
Yeah,
Kelly,
this is
really
Sorry, I
good.
started
delicious.
preaching.
Yeah, no, but it's right. And the prison reentry work that I've been doing with Bridges of America, when they asked me all those years ago, well, why did you get involved? And I said, well, the best way to help a child is to stabilize the parent. And so together we're going to meet in the middle to make sure that recidivism on our watch, redemption, all these different things, like this is not a mistake that we're talking today at the beginning of the year.
Right.
Redemption, it's huge. And so as we learn from you and as you pour into us and we pour back into you, I believe that this year, the strides that are going to be made will just be record breaking. And Superman is going to go to South Carolina.
So
You know,
we're already past time, but I want to go a couple more minutes because you've got a bill that you've written that you want to take to Congress. So it's now Tinkerbell Goes to Washington. I can see that being the documentary or a movie. What is your bill?
the bill is all about protecting the children at the time of arrest, because a big thing that leaves a gap in a child's heart is watching a parent be dragged away, or not watching and not knowing where the parent is. Whoever's left at home, if there's anybody left at home, they might tell them that they're dead or that they were abandoned, and not even tell them that they're in prison and to go and visit them. So our children should not be paying the price for a crime a parent committed or an accidental crime that a parent might have been involved with. But a child should know what it is to be a child. And a child should know what it is to choose their own roads and not to follow the roads that you think are the right roads until you evaluate them. I always tell the kids, you have to look at who your friends are, because my mom told me the same thing. Look at who your friends are and you'll know who you are.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
show me
And you
friends,
want
I'll
your
show you
legacy.
your future.
And do you want your legacy to be a Nouchelle or a Kelly who loves the world and wants to leave something positive behind? Or do you want your legacy to be murder and crime and hurting others instead of helping others? Let's make our choices every single day. It's 2024. The three of us have made our choice.
Yes.
The three of us are following in the footsteps of goodness and giving and loving. And therefore we take so much because they give us so much back.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. I love it.
This is
I tell you,
amazing.
go enjoy the rest of your vacation, because I know you're back at work tomorrow, and you're an
Yes.
inspiration to so many. And I love everything about you. Your husband's not safe. No, I'm just kidding.
Just keep remembering, Kelly.
That's right. But
that
and it was
you
an
are-
honor to meet your son and your
Lozano.
grandsons. But
Thank
we
you
love
for,
what you
thank you for
do.
being there.
You're amazing, and I will get with your social media people so people can have, and we will on our sites. We'll put your website and everything. So we do want people to donate time, money, whatever. You've got a great organization, but they always need more people.
Expertise.
You probably need more
Yes.
locations. So
Yes, absolutely.
We need, of course, like the same thing as any other nonprofit. We need money so we can bring in more families. We need the toys that we got this year are unbelievable. And thank you to both of you, because you definitely made our holiday gift giving very, very special for the second year in a row. And we've never had it like that before. And I have wonderful pictures that I hope that we're able to show at some point, because those photos of the winter wonderland that you created for us, the kids are never going to forget it. You've made their world 10 times higher than they could have ever imagined. So you know how amazing that is, right? And
Yeah,
they
and
also
they are
put themselves in a better
kids.
world.
Yeah,
They're-
and you know, think about to see the kids in the gym playing basketball. Like they literally, to see them wearing they transform into their hoodies and they became cool and they was challenging Wesley. It was like these kids just, and I tell everyone how appreciative and loving they are. But outside of that, the senior citizens was like, go downstairs. They got a winter wonderland and have a Santa. Like, what is going on? It was like, hey, and they have food.
I met these dozen women that, they were like Santa groupies and they were adorable. But, but they want, there was three of them that were asking me a lot about what your organization was. I said, well, you need to grab somebody else. I'm not the authority. But they just thought what you were doing was amazing. And, they wanted to help.
Oh gosh,
So-
it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
So
The fact
beautiful.
that we can do it together and how much stronger we are when we do it together, that's what makes the whole difference, doesn't it? Think about it.
Yes.
If either
Yes.
one of you had been missing from that event, it would have been a hole. And
Yeah.
you two being there made it so incredibly special. We should tell everyone though, those kids were playing basketball, bowling, ice
Ice
skating,
skating.
Ice skating.
I love it.
art. There was art going on everywhere. Big
And these
canvases
kids were
and
good.
paints.
Yes.
And those kids were good, aren't they? Well,
Yes.
you get good because if you believe in yourself, you get better. If you weren't the real Santa, Kelly, then they wouldn't believe in you either. You are the
Right.
Santa, kicking those balls to every single kid. Oh my God, that is so amazing. Thank you for those beautiful photographs. Thank you for everything. I have to thank you forever. I would have not missed this phone call today, no matter where I was. And as you know, I had just come out of the water. My hair was
Tell us
dripping.
what's happening March 9th. Tell us what's happening March 9th.
March 9th, we're inaugurating the new name. We're doing a fundraiser that we call Music Under the Stars. We do it every single year. And we bring in singers, we bring in musicians, we bring in sometimes even magicians. 2 years ago, we had a magician from Colombia that did all the smoke and mirrors, that whole thing on our show. We always have a full sit-down dinner and it's outdoors.
Nice.
And
Oh,
it's
my
beautiful.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Nice in Florida.
So
Yes.
March 9th.
We'll make sure we
Yes.
get the information and we'll promote it as well. So
Thank
we
you
love
so
it.
much to both of you. We love you. Happy New Year. And I know that the audience that comes in to listen to you guys and to watch this definitely are angels as well, or they wouldn't be listening to this.
Well,
fantastic.
I personally want to thank Wayne, who is in agreement. You would normally have another host, right? He's the main host with Kelly, but he's flying, as Kelly said, and so I get a chance to sit in today. This is the week of my birthday, leading up to my birthday. This is the best gift I can ask for. This is the best gift. I just came down from the mountains, and let me tell you, I am full and ready, and you have set me off, girl. If I can call you girl. You set
Thank
me
you
off.
for all
And
you
Kelly
are.
always sets me off.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday, my darling. And I can't wait to see you both again. And we should get together one day just to talk about our lives. And I would love that. I would love it, love it, love it. So let's find out if we can find some time one day to just have lunch together and talk to just about ourselves, so we get to know each other better.
We'll
Absolutely.
make it
Okay.
happen.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Okay, love
Happy
you.
New Year.
Love you.
Best to
Happy New
your
Year
little
everyone.
family and your big family.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Love
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.